Wherefore, Series 2, Episode 28. I went a bit mad at the end of August. By a bit mad, I mean screaming hard enough to damage the fabric of reality, throwing myself at semi-corporeal saber-toothed tigers because I needed to feel something, that sort of thing. I've carried on telling you what else was going on for months now, despite my going mad. It's left me wondering if Ditchley Yat is really some terrible hallucination. I haven't dared to visit Painswick in case it isn't really there. Doomville with the stuff of nightmares, for sure. I kept telling the story as best I could, but I stopped being any kind of meaningful participant in it. I've done a better job to this point of being a character, but for a while there, the narration was about all I could manage. And I'm a shit narrator. Truly, I wish I was one of those reliable, omniscient narrators you get in Victorian novels. That way I would know what's coming. I seem ahead of the plot, but that's just the consequence of speaking in the present tense about things that really happened months ago. I am pretty good at seeing the past. I mostly get that right. While I can sometimes see where the future is heading, I can also get that very wrong. This summer was one of those, and I did not see it coming, and it broke me utterly. Far beyond my occasional collapses, where I end up in the barrow pretending to be dead. Proper broken this time. Nearly gave up, sort of broken. I'm hardly back on my feet now, although I've been doing a passable impression of someone who is alive and making sense. In the end, Sabrina had to make her own way without the help I'd offered, but she did well. Better than she might have done with me meddling, perhaps. The man in the moon also went a bit mad, for the same reasons and for other reasons, and we have not really spoken in a long time. He stays in the sky and in the moonlight, having retreated into his own thoughts, I think. I am alone. More alone than I have ever previously known a person could be. This is the cruel perspective that comes from having found out what it means not to be alone, but only for a little while. He was enchantment given form, and I know my folklore. Beings like that do not stay. It is not in their nature to stay. They take parts of your soul, or leave you starving for the want of the taste of a fruit you will never find again. Palely loitering, as the poem goes. You may know the routine. Being a creature who traffics in magic is no defence against that sort of thing. The only defence is not to fall in love with them in the first place. It is far too late for me on that score. I successfully summoned the magic that I most needed, but I could not keep him with me. Always read the small print. Always make your spells detailed enough. Weave carefully. It was never enough just to summon. I needed time. Ends achieved. Changes made. But I made magic to summon, not to keep. It was a rookie error. And so, here I am, telling you about how I went mad in August, telling you the story like it is just a story, pretending to be a character in my own story because it hurts less that way. I went mad in August. I cried rivers. I wandered the hills, talking to creatures melted out of the ice, and I did not weave. I did not pay any real attention to the fabric of things. I barely kept track of what was going on. Yes, I knew Amagin was gnawing on the fabric of reality to stay alive, but I honestly didn't care. Yes, I knew the jazz cyclist was gaining power and infecting the district with another sort of madness, and I did not care. I even saw the fairy in Bank Gardens that month, and I shrugged my shoulders in response to him as well. He was a beautiful fairy, of course, they always are. Dancing alone in Bank Gardens in the sun of a late summer afternoon, hair long, almost iridescent, seeming to move separately from him as though with a will of its own. He was grace personified, lust embodied, beauty made incarnate. I remember knowing that with my head. knowing how dangerously captivating this dancing would be, but feeling nothing. I watched for a while, and my dead heart lay still and cold inside me. Once one fairy being has ravaged your soul, there's nothing left for anyone else to feed on. Had I been sane, I would have stopped the Bank Gardens fairy, closed the breach he had made, and shooed him back to his own realm, but madness made me careless and unkind. So I left him there, to charm and destroy whoever he wanted to. My heart had been broken beyond all mending, and I did not care to save anyone else from that same fate. I am a little more sane now as I tell you all of this, but I am not myself. I do not know how to weave the threads of my own future. I barely know how to weave at all. I no longer do much at all of the one thing that defined me as myself. All the weaving I have left now is this story, and what I can craft from memory and observation. All the magic remaining to me is in this telling, one final effort, if not to save myself, then to at least explain myself a little. Perhaps, after all, I am a better narrator than I am a character. Perhaps I was wrong about that too. This story is all I can do to hold the remaining threads together. This story is the best protective magic I can make, and if I weave it week by week, perhaps I can affect Amagin's predatory consumption. Perhaps I can outmaneuver the jazz cyclist and stop him filling people's minds with cruelty and irrationality. Perhaps I can weave, a new spell. But not that spell. Perhaps I can weave a new spell with these words, and weave it well and brightly enough that the man in the moon is persuaded to think a little better of me, at least. On my calmer days, I dare to hope I could weave something so lovely and engaging that the east wind would find his way back to me, but I know I cannot keep him. Not if he chooses to be the wind. He would have to want to be someone else before any of my threads and webs would catch him and hold him so well that he wanted to stay. I have been telling you all along that you are complicit in this story. Without you, there is no one to hear. Without you, there is no point in making magic at all. Weaving this tale into words for you may well be the last magic I ever do. I need your complicity. I will not survive this alone. Don't let me down.